Hello, people. Welcome to Lolly Queens, and I'm Lolly. Today we are having a very interesting topic. It's a message sent to me by a friend who is a doctor, and I would like to share with you all. So, it was a few years ago at the then Central Region, now Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. We were grossly understaffed those years. There was no opening or closing time. You worked as long as there were cases, day or night. I remember often being called 2 to 3 times in a single night to perform emergency surgeries. It was so frustrating. I opt to sleep in the hospital at night so as to give myself a few extra minutes to sleep, which I was waiting in transit from the hospital to the hospital flat, which I shared with two other doctors. I remember walking in the middle of the night along the road, surrounded by bushes infested with snakes and robbers, in the name of saving lives. I walked with fear in my heart and a prayer on my lips. If I was attacked or bitten by a snake and I survived it, I would still have to bear the cost of any treatment. That makes no sense. Okay? I remember being called frantically at night because of mass casualty road traffic accidents on the ever dangerous Accra Cape Coast Takrady Road, and all doctors, including pediatricians, that's doctors that take care of kids, coming in at night just to save lives of total strangers. All this while our families and friends slept totally oblivious of the reality of our job. I remember seeing so much blood and gore, so much death, more death than you would see in many lifetimes. It was about 7 p.m. on a total random day, and we were very tired as usual. The referrals from the surrounding health centers were pulling in. We had a number of women in labor. Patient X was probably in the late 30s or early 40s. She delivered a healthy baby and all seemed well, except she seemed to bleed a bit heavier than normal. And she bled and bled. Everything that could be done had been done. My whole rather small ONG team, comprising one specialist, one registrar, and two house officers, was there. We had no option but to prepare her for an emergency hysterectomy. Hysterectomy is the removal of the uterus to save her life. Sounds simple, right? Okay, let's complicate it. She was she has bled so much and we had given so much IV fluids. Her blood is now very dilute. She is drifting in and out of consciousness. She's on high flow oxygen and we need blood to transfuse urgently. After several calls, we realized there is no blood in any hospital in Cape Coast. Now we are in a fix. Don't operate because there is no blood available. So that they are left with two options. Either not to operate because there is no blood available and she would be dead in few minutes if she's left unoperated. Or take her to theater and open her up to save her and she will probably die on the operating table whilst you're operating because so there's still no blood. So what do they do? So the colleague said, my boss says, Jonathan, let's go to theater and hope for the best. The midwives are very stressed and hurriedly tear off the rest of her clothes with a pair of scissors and rush her to theater. We scrub and we are about to start when on a whim, I asked my colleague house officer to assist my boss in my place. My boss is surprised but lets it go and I tell him, boss, I'm more used to you at the lab. I ran like a maniac to meet my friends in the lab who calmly opened all their fridges for me, one after another. All empty, no blood anywhere. I am in a quandary. How do we save this woman's life? A cleaner comes to me and says, oh, doc, if they sort me out, I can donate 1 unit of blood. I asked how much and he says 40 cedis. This was quite a bit of money back then, considering the government of Ghana has, of course, not paid me, though I had worked for over 8 months and has submitted all documentation. But I digress. I paid him, they screened his blood, he was clean and a match. Thank you, Lord, 1 unit received. But an absolute minimum of 2 units of blood. What do? I suddenly thought, what's the lady's blood group? They say O positive. Then I say, but I am O positive. Please take 1 unit from me now. They look at me like I've totally taken leave of my senses. I bully them and get them to take 1 unit of blood, and they put me to lie on the couch and bring me a drink. They say, Doc, relax because you will be very dizzy when you stand. I stand slowly, waiting for the dizziness, but I'm fine. So I grabbed the blood and ran out, heading to theater, with everyone looking at me like I'm a crazy person. I arrived in theater to find a barely alive lady with a very stressed medical team around her. When I bring out the blood, my boss shouts in relief, and everyone is so happy. After the surgery is complete, he comes out and gives me a big hug. We have just saved her life. My colleague pulls me aside and asks me how I got the blood, and I quietly let him know. He just laughs. This is the life of a doctor, not just doctors, most professionals. We make things happen and make our miracles. I stay behind to do another cesarean session. After taking blood, he still has to stay behind to do another cesarean session that evening and made it home probably around 11 p.m. This, I believe, was supposed to be a morning shift. The following morning, my team is assembled for ward rounds, and I, when asked again by my bosses, I was forced to disclose how I got the blood. Their comments were, "You did well, but this man, you are mad." Oh." We get to our star patient, and she's complaining bitterly. We ask, "Madam, what's the problem?" And she replies, "Why did you people tear my clothes yesterday?" All the doctors erupt in laughter, and we have a good laugh. We couldn't bring ourselves to tell her what we did to save her life. She's probably out there calling us names. She has no clue. Just a routine day at work. I believe in hard work, but I also believe in remunerization. That's paying somebody for the work done. Yeah. My reward should not only be in heaven. Why is accommodation in government flats and bungalows only an issue for doctors? Do the armed forces not stay in government accommodations? It's never an issue because they have guns and can topple the government if pushed too far. Is it not shameful that a consultant in Kolebu Teaching Hospital falls ill, is brought to his own hospital, and ends up paying bills with his wife's insurance because she works at a bank? Why do you say doctors are essential service, but you do not treat them like they are truly essential? Why does the military have clear conditions of service cost, but they have been working on the doctor's documentation for over 10 years? Should the conditions of service for all essential personnel not be fairly similar with allowances made for individual circumstances and risks? Are they not all essential services? So this is really sad because most of the times doctors have to find their own accommodations whilst the government provide for military personnel. Do you get it? And doctors, not just doctors, health personnel in general, they kind of have to pay. It's not kind of, they have to pay for their hospital bills. They don't have any insurance that caters for them, and I don't think it's right. Even when they are coming to hospital at their own hospitals, like they are coming for consultation at their own very hospitals where they work, they have to pay for it, and this is really sad. This is something health workers have been pushing for so long, and it seems like the government isn't listening. It's really sad. Okay, so let's continue with his sale. I chose to leave a job I truly enjoyed, helping the poor and destitute, and move to the private sector. Now, here is the difference between the public and the private sector. I work in probably the foremost private medical facility in the country. I have very decent conditions of service. I take care of wealthy people, politicians, and senior staff of various firms who have excellent conditions of service, including top level medical cover, as they are the only ones that could or can afford my services. The strike does not affect them at all. They have me to take care of their children. They are free to call me at ungodly hours because they have back pain or their children are crying too much, or are confident I'll sort out their problems. They can turn around, these same people that he is treating at the private sector can turn around and insult doctors in the government sector. They go into propaganda overdrive to confuse the average citizen and distract from the core issues. So most of the time, if an issue is being raised, the politicians try to drive the attention to something else. I don't know if you've realized, but that's something I've seen. They say doctors are killers, evil people, greedy bastards, nation wreckers, etc. or etc. The politicians say they want to save, but we permit them to give themselves wonderful conditions of service in order for them to live comfortably and focus on their work. Their ex gratia alone for 4 years of service is more than 12 years total net pay and more than 65 years pension for the average medical doctor. That does not destroy the economy, but doctors who watch over your wife and children during childbirth, on the other hand, are the ones expected to sacrifice. This is really sad. They are always complaining that the public sector isn't working well. The doctors aren't doing their best there. But you have to provide them. You have to. Sometimes it's really sad when you hear people in the health sector saying, my pay hasn't come, my pay hasn't come. It's really sad because one day, just one single day, not even up to 24 hours, if a particular department, let's say pharmacy, decides to go on strike, people are going to die. If doctors go on strike, people are going to die. This is some place we don't joke with. People life are in danger, and we have to see to the satisfaction of those offering those health. Nurses, midwives, PAs, everybody is important. Health is health. It's not because somebody is rich or somebody is poor. Health is health. The rich person may not be as sick as the poor person. We have to come to a level that we are putting them on the same scale. At least most of the time we complain bitterly about the health sector, but the public health sector. But most of the time they just don't have the facilities to provide such services because the government is not offering it. Sometimes I agree to the fact that sometimes some of the professionals are quite uncouth, and they are just some way. But some of the time too is the attitude of we the civilians, is the attitude of the politicians, is the attitude of the stakeholders. They are supposed to provide certain services and certain facilities to make it easier for the people in the health sector to work. There are Even currently there are still hospitals without any bed. People are giving birth still on the floor. This is so devastating. Where the country has gotten to, we have to put a stop to this. We can do better than this. And I think it all comes to all of us. It's not just the politicians. We also matter. We also, if we want to see a change in the public sector, we have to see a change in ourselves. Because there are times that I've seen patients enter consulting rooms to go and abuse doctors. Please, I'm getting emotional about this. So let's just end it here. If you have any contribution, if you have any top up, any question whatsoever, you can add. And if you're a returning viewer, I love you so very much. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. See you another time.